From Itachi kidnapping Kakashi to the hidden detail about Deidara's new arm, here are some small details in the series that even the most die-hard Naruto fan would have missed. Starting with Kakashi. Let's talk about when Itachi was about to kidnap him in broad daylight. I'm guessing you're probably thinking, wait, when did that happen? Was it when Kakashi and Itachi were in the Anbu together? Or maybe it was during Shippuden? Or maybe it happened off-screen somewhere and was only mentioned in the novels? Well, actually, it was during his first appearance. I'm sure you know that most of the Akatsuki action took place throughout Shippuden, but if you think back to the early Naruto series, you'll remember the first appearance of this iconic group, none other than when Itachi and Kisame take a stroll into the Leaf Village. With how casually they appear, you'd think these two were on a weekend vacation, and definitely not instead plotting to turn the ninja world upside down. I mean, they don't even go sneaking around at night, instead deciding to go in their very unusual cloaks around in public during broad daylight, with only their straw hats to protect their identities. Considering Itachi kept his Sharingan on the entire time, I have no clue how no passerby was able to see this. Maybe Itachi was putting genjutsu on anyone that looked at him so they wouldn't notice. But anyway, after Itachi and Kisame have a tasty dango snack during this Konoha vacation, they get noticed by Kakashi, leading to a quick escape, to which Kurenai and Asuma corner and attack the Akatsuki duo, with Kurenai doing the stupidest move in all of Naruto, deciding to use genjutsu on an Uchiha prodigy known for his skill in genjutsu. But anyway, before both of them get utterly destroyed, Kakashi steps in, and this is where the small detail I mentioned before comes into play. So when Kakashi steps up to fight his old Anbu buddy, realistically he's the only one that stands a chance. But what's interesting is that Itachi tells Kisame to step down, and says that instead he will fight Kakashi himself, which is weird since they had the upper hand and pretty much already defeated Kurenai and Asuma. He uses the excuse that fighting Kakashi will be too much hassle. But since we later find out he was a double agent, I think this is a clear telltale sign that he always had the Leaf's best interest at heart. Either way, Itachi completely smokes Kakashi and catches him in its Tsukiyomi in no time. Itachi lets him off lightly and only tortures him for 3 days. Okay, that does sound rough, but remember, he couldn't let Kisame get suspicious of his true actions. Then, as Kakashi is about to pass out, he reveals that he knows the name of their organization is Akatsuki. This causes shock to both Itachi and Kisame, and from there, we get a change in their attitude. Before, they were just going to retreat, but now, Itachi orders Kisame to kidnap Kakashi. It's a very puzzling decision to make, especially with what we now know about Itachi. I'm sure you could say that, oh, that's because it was so early in the story that Itachi wasn't planned out to be a good guy. But in fact, that's actually wrong. As in an old interview with Kishimoto, he stated at that point when he introduced Itachi to the series, he had decided to secretly make him a good guy who did something bad because of circumstance. So it makes Kakashi's attempted kidnapping even more baffling. What was Itachi even planning to do with him? If he kidnapped him, it was sure to result in Kakashi's execution. And for what? Just to make sure their name isn't known? Well, it doesn't really matter what their name is if they go around in such obvious cloaks, and matters even less considering Itachi just leaked information about how they were after Naruto. It's not like he had to prove anything to Kisame either, since he could have just told Kisame to kill all of them. But instead, he specifically tells Kisame to take Kakashi with them. Luckily, however, Guy jumps in out of nowhere and gives Itachi the exact excuse he needed to escape. But wait, did you catch that? Look at this panel closer. Do you see anything unusual about Kisame? No? Then what if I told you to look at his arm a bit closer? Do you see it now? His arm is underneath his cloak. How did that happen? Well, I'm about to drop a bombshell on you that even baffled me when I first found out, and I'm sure is another small detail you all didn't notice. That in fact, the Akatsuki cloak in the beginning of the series has only one sleeve. Don't believe me? Let's do a quick rewind during this fight. As you can see here, and here, and here, it's true. There is only one sleeve on the cloak. Sure, as the series progresses, then the cloak goes to having 2 sleeves like normal. But this little detail about the early designs is really subtle. It is a strange fashion choice to make though, as surely having one sleeve will greatly reduce the battle power of the Akatsuki members. In fact, one of Itachi's most iconic moments, that being the first time his full appearance is shown, he unbuttons his cloak and has his arm hanging out of the middle. I'm sure just like me, you guys thought this was a really cool scene, with Itachi doing this pose. But actually, Itachi is doing this just to get his hand free from inside the cloak. Really puts this into perspective. But don't get me wrong, it doesn't make this moment any less cool. Besides that, there are other small details woven throughout that hint towards Itachi's good nature. He leaks information without hesitation to both Kakashi and Jiraiya. I mean, there really was no reason whatsoever for him to tell that their goal is to capture Naruto. It's strange how Itachi was willing to go so far to not arouse arouse Kisame's suspicions that he would actually torture Kakashi for 3 days and even try to kidnap him. But regardless, would recklessly leak information. And what's worse is that Kisame doesn't question any of this. If I was Kisame, I would have been looking at him like this while he was leaking all that info. Even when Itachi does find Naruto, it should have also been a bit suspicious. I mean, come on. You wouldn't knock on the door of the guy you're about to kidnap, would you? But as I said before, we really should be happy the guy came in to save Kakashi's kidnapping. He was saving the day since way back. By the end of the show, we all love Guy, but his antics in the early series may have made some fans annoyed. Guy may not have always been a fan favorite, but his favorite student certainly was. Rock Lee became beloved by everyone after his duel with Gaara, but small details about him show he's also one of Kishimoto's favorite characters. Since Lee can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, his worth as a ninja is always being put into question. In many of Lee's most memorable moments, Kishimoto gives us a sign to never doubt his ninja status. He puts this sign in the least likely of places, in his goofy haircut. Do you see it? Look a bit closer. He's literally got the word ninja written on his head. What more proof of being a shinobi do you need? I don't think anyone doubted him after his epic performance in the Chunin exams, but still, it's nice to see him getting the respect he deserves. Well, in the start of the series anyway, because during Shippuden, they really did Rock Lee so dirty, making his only canon fight in a 1v1 fight against himself, which is commonly stated to be one of the worst fights in the entire series. Even the filler department gave him a better fight, against the hidden sand ninja Shira, who also didn't know ninjutsu or genjutsu. This disrespect of Lee leads us to another small detail people also didn't notice, that Lee had actually achieved the 6th gate. Why wouldn't you notice this? Because all he used it for was to throw a single kunai. Sure, that kunai did help Guy in fighting Madara, but still, he just threw one kunai. Even in the end, ultimately that kunai throw was useless because Guy got defeated by Madara. We should have realized that Lee was going to be useless in Shippuden. It should have been foreshadowed early in the series. But unlike Lee's uselessness, there actually was a lot of foreshadowing in the original Naruto. Next time you give the show a rewatch, keep your eyes out because it's everywhere. Original Naruto had loads of storylines ongoing at the same time. But one of the most important to the show's overarching story is, of course, Orochimaru acquiring Sasuke. As strange as some of those early Orochimaru scenes were, we do get some cool insights into what's to come. One of these is Sasuke's curse mark, and we know the story behind that gets interesting, with how the curse mark is linked to Senjutsu and Naruto's Sage Mode. But what most of us probably missed is the fact that Sasuke's curse mark looks exactly like a certain eye hack's power. Of course, I'm talking about none other than the Amaterasu. So, what do we think? Coincidence or not? Considering different people have different styles of curse mark patterns, then Sasuke having this pattern could have been a quick little nod to his future power and compatibility with Itachi's iconic technique. Though the Amaterasu is used a lot during Shippuden, in the early series, we only see it one time during Itachi's first appearance. In fact, at the end of OG Naruto, we barely know anything about any Uchihas outside of Sasuke and Itachi. But as soon as Shippuden kicks off, we start to see some new faces. You might think I'm talking about Tobi, but no, I'm talking about even before that. Let's rewind to the battle against Deidara and Sasori. But wait, that takes place in the Sand Village, the last place on Earth we'd expect to find an Uchiha, right? Well, check this guy out. If you're wondering why he looks so weird, that's because he's one of Sasori's puppets. And not just him, but also this guy too. That's right, Sasori somehow managed to get his hands on an Uchiha back in the day. Pretty impressive. I know you might be confused by this, and I would be too, because this was actually an anime-only scene. The anime certainly makes many mistakes, but this was one of those times that they actually added to the world building of Naruto. I mean, it does make sense, right? Why wouldn't Sasori have many Kekkei Genkai users in his puppet army? Of course, the obvious answer is that it would be too tedious for Kishimoto to draw them all. The same reason that we never see the 1000 jutsu that Kakashi supposedly copied. But still, can you imagine if one of these puppets had the Mangekyo Sharingan? Sasori could use Susanoo instantly, and perhaps he could even use the perfect Susanoo, since these puppets won't feel either pain from overuse or the blindness, and they could just spam these techniques like reanimated Itachi did. But that's not the only small detail you missed about the Uchihas, because there's a very strange detail from the original Naruto that we just have to mention related to them. Just take a look at this. There you see the back of Naruto as a kid, and Sasuke sitting down moping in the distance. But wait a minute, who the hell is that guy in the middle? Aren't all the Uchiha supposed to be dead? So why does he have the Uchiha jacket? This photo has sparked debate online, with some people arguing that it was simply a mistake from the animators, and others arguing that this was in fact before the Uchiha massacre. But if it was before the massacre, then why does Sasuke look so depressed? Something's something's not right. A darker theory is that since the whole clan was wiped out, they had a surplus of Uchiha uniforms. I know, it would be pretty messed up if random kids were out wearing dead Uchiha shirts. And if so, no wonder Sasuke looks depressed. Imagine if your whole family was killed in a robbery, but then you go to the grocery store and see kids there wearing their clothes. I would lose my mind as well, to be honest. Even if it's unlikely that the animation team made a mistake this time, they definitely have in the past. But this next detail is something even the manga gets wrong. We all know what's needed for a summoning jutsu: blood, and of course, a hefty amount of chakra. So then why does Tsunade and Guy get a pass? We know Tsunade's one of the Sannin, but that doesn't mean she can bend the rules. And what's the deal with Guy? As cool as he is, he's a normal jonin, generally speaking. It's also a common misconception that Guy cannot use ninjutsu or genjutsu like his student Lee. But actually, as we see here with his summoning jutsu, he can use it. But anyway, we clearly know from seeing Naruto make his deal with Gamabunta that blood is a key ingredient in a successful summon. I think this can just be chalked up to the classic Kishimoto forgot. Just like how Boruto and Himawari don't have Byakugan, despite being the children of a Hyuga. Back to Orochimaru though. Can we take a moment to appreciate just how evil the old Orochimaru was? Even though he is somehow a good guy in Boruto, the old Orochimaru was a straight up savage. Not only did he waste a Hokage, with said Hokage being his old sensei, but he also did some other really ruthless things in the Chunin exams, specifically when Orochimaru launches his invasion of the village, also known as Konoha Crush. He indeed crushes much of the Leaf Village and slays many ninja, but for some reason, he decides to unnecessarily sacrifice his own two students, Zaku and Kin, for his reanimation jutsu. I mean, come on, there were ninjas everywhere. Did he seriously have to use his own students? It makes it even more notable when you realize during the Chunin exams, Zaku tries so hard in the exams just for Orochimaru, going through unbearable pain so he doesn't let him down. But that's not the only small detail about the Sound Ninja in the Chunin exams that people overlook. We all know that Team Dosu's leader was a poorly disguised Orochimaru. I mean, somehow, no one even noticed this was him. But who was the leader for Team Kabuto? Well, it was this guy. No one knows whether this guy was aware that his entire team were sound spies, but it seems that no one was ever suspicious towards him, because it seems he's still working as a Konoha Jonin today. Perhaps he still is a spy for Orochimaru and has infiltrated so well that no one in Boruto has even noticed him yet. The only other time we see him in the manga is during Obito's reveal flashback, when he seems to be in the Chunin exams as part of Orochimaru's Genin squad. So perhaps, unlike Anko, he decided to continue to follow Orochimaru. Who knows? Going back to Team Dosu though, another thing people overlook is how the leader Dosu had actually planned to betray Orochimaru. After encountering Sasuke in the Forest of Death, they try to kill him due to the order being given by Orochimaru. As soon as Sasuke's curse mark comes out though, Dosu realizes Orochimaru got to him first, and instead of killing him himself, gave him the curse mark instead. Dosu then realizes their only role were as pawns to test Sasuke's power, and he plans to betray Orochimaru for this. Now, unfortunately, Dosu had the bright idea of doing this by going up against Gaara, because if Dosu defeated him in the night, then he could face Sasuke himself in the final and personally kill him. But we all know how that fight went. But Orochimaru really is an unpredictable guy, so it's not really clear if Dosu could have even done anything against him anyway. I mean, what if Orochimaru was in the Sand Village one time? Not like that would ever... Oh wait, he was? Just take a look at this. Why on earth is he at Gaara's revival? Well, we can probably guess why. Maybe he liked the look of Gaara's dead corpse, or just thought he'd show his face for moral support. He was definitely the last person anyone there wanted to see. But the real question is, why does no one seem to react? Maybe he was invited after all. The anime really does make some strange moments, but surely there are more small details to talk about which are actually canon. We just spoke about Orochimaru's use of his own sound shinobi to complete his reanimation jutsu. But did you know that afterwards he actually went back to the Sound Village and established it as a real ninja village? That's right. After he set the whole thing up as a ruse to mask his activities, he went back and actually made it an official shinobi village in Boruto. Why he's allowed to do this and isn't severely punished by Naruto, I have no clue. Even Tsunade gets mad at Naruto for letting Orochimaru go. Does he forget that he tried to kill Naruto himself on multiple occasions? Orochimaru's escapades throughout the series ended up playing a very crucial part in the direction direction of the story, as well as character development in many of Naruto's protagonists. But did you know Kishimoto never actually planned to have him in the show? That's right, he was never even meant to be in the show at all. In an interview, Kishimoto reveals that his editorial team forced him to write a villain into the Chunin exam arc, and his original plans were to have Shikamaru winning the tournament. His team didn't think the audience would like that idea, and the Chunin exams had to be destroyed. It really is crazy to think that we were very close to never even having Orochimaru at all. I wonder what would have happened with that whole plotline. I guess Sasuke would never have left, and there may not have even been any legendary Sannin. In fact, another detail is Sasuke himself wasn't even supposed to be in the series, and was only written in after an editor told Kishimoto to have a rival character to Naruto. Can you imagine the series without Sasuke? The whole Uchiha plotline was written solely because of him. People like Obito and Madara wouldn't even exist. I wonder how the story could have gone. But what was that point I mentioned at the start of the video about the secret behind Deidara's arm? Well, as Shippuden kicks off, we start to finally see some hints about the origins of Kakashi's Sharingan and his potential connection to Tobi, who, at the time, is just a goofy villain. If you remember, shortly after Deidara succeeds in stealing the One Tail, Kakashi shows up and debuts his Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakashi and Naruto are chasing Deidara after the hilarious moment where Deidara uses Gaara as an IKEA chair, and Kakashi decides to show off his new optical jutsu, which would later become an important part of the show. We only ever saw the Mangekyo Sharingan in battle once before this, and that was when Kakashi and Itachi fought for the first time. So it's understandable that most of us would miss this telltale sign that Kakashi and Tobi may be more connected than anyone could have guessed. However, for those of you who really pay attention, you may have noticed a little detail that would explain a lot about things to come. Kakashi hits Deidara with Kamui, which is the first time we ever see him use a dimension-bending jutsu. He tries to suck Deidara into a vortex, but only gets the middle third of his arm. When Deidara is safely back at the Akatsuki camp, we see thereafter that his missing arm has returned. Most of us never noticed how big of a deal that was. The reason the Akatsuki could return the arm is because Kakashi and Obito's Sharingans share the same dimension. So Obito simply just took the arm from the Kamui dimension and gave it back to Deidara. Since the arm went without oxygen for so long, it makes sense that it's all shriveled up by the time Deidara reattaches it. At least Deidara got his arms back, because then he can do the classic Naruto run. The same run that we see in this fire exit sign? Ninja running is such an iconic part of Naruto, and it's a nice touch that they included it here too. Although, wouldn't it be a little unsafe if everyone started ninja running during an emergency? Can you just imagine a fire breaking out and everyone ninja running to the fire exit? It would be chaos. They make it look so easy in the show, but it's way harder than it looks. I mean, come on, I can't be the only one that tried it as a kid. But what I didn't do as a kid is realize how dark the series actually was. So to see this, be sure to check out this video on the left. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.